minutes. Thank you for joining us for this great presentation today. So we are right at 11, so let's get started. The beauty of this is that all our presentations that we do through the Rural Business Support Network, number one, are no cost to our users. They are funded by Community Futures Central Alberta, the Town of Olds, Invest Olds, and Prairies Economic Development Canada. So we've got a lot of organizations bringing great information to you. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Michelle McFadden. I am the Business Development Advisor with the Regional Business Support Network, building strategies to help you scale, be more productive, understand new technologies that as business owners are always slamming us and not knowing which ones to buy. And I know I always have that quandary of, is this software going to work for me? Should I buy the new gadget? Right down to those little spinner things that came and went. Do I need one of those for stress release or not? Do you remember the spinners? Anyway, we are bombarded as business owners with technology decisions almost every day now. And it's become faster and faster in the marketplace to have those ability to make those decisions. And when I met Anish at the AI for Business conference at Olds College in October and found out what he did, I said, please come speak to my people, because we are bombarded, as I said, with these technology issues. And so that's why I invited Anish to present today to help us as business owners. I am one too, not just a business consultant, but a business owner as well, to make better technology decisions and maybe base it on a framework versus what I call the good old guess or Guy Bally type of decision making. Like, you make the decision, you cross your fingers that it's not going to take all your money, and hopefully it works out for you and you don't find out 30 days later before just after your trial finishes that it's not going to work. So Anish, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to hand the microphone over to you and ask you to introduce yourself and share your wisdom with us. If anyone has a question for Anish, please type it into the chat. We'll either pause to address or we'll save it till the end for Q&A. And away we go. Let's go and make better technology decisions.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, Michelle, for introducing myself. And first of all, thank you all of you guys for joining this morning, and good morning, all of you. So before I introduce myself, let me ask you one question. How many of you can you share in the chat, like, what is the team size that you are currently dealing with, whether you are business owner or not? What is the team size that you guys have right now? So I can understand this better and adjust few slides in the presentation accordingly. That's the idea here. Can you chat in the chat? Can you share your numbers? Like, what is the team size?
So what you're asking, Anish, is what is the team size of the number of employees in the organization? Is that right?
We are working with, yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay, I see Anne's typing away. I think too, with such a small crowd, if you feel like you don't want to type, but you want to just unmute and give us a number,
Exactly,
that'd be great too.
Awesome. Two of us.
And Anne says there are two. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. And where are you dialing in from?
I'm actually just working from home this morning in Red Deer.
Nice. I love the working from home thing. I really, really do.
I do too. It's a nice balance.
Alistair says he has 25 employees on a 4-month contract starting in May. Wow, that's big. And then Mutton says their team hovers around 300.
Awesome, awesome. So awesome. So we have a really big gap here, like from 2 people up to 300 people. That's completely normal, and all of us deal with this kind of decisions, right? Every day. So let's be on the same page first before we get started. What type of decision we are talking about here? We are talking about mostly majority of software decisions, but some of some of the part of these frameworks also applies to some of the hardware decisions as well, the physical infrastructure decisions as well. So primarily in the software, I'm talking about all the basic elements that most of the business needs. I'm talking about those softwares primarily, like CRM, ERP, HR and payroll, help desk, learning management systems. Learning hub basically for their employees, and any other industry specific tools that you might be using in your specific industries. So this presentation is primarily around that, but this framework can also apply. So certain elements can also apply to physical infrastructure decisions as well. So we are on the same page here, and I'll share you the framework today. So before I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Anish. I'm the co-founder of Rollout Technologies, and we work with growing businesses every day on exactly these kind of challenges, who need guidance on making the right decisions about their technical infrastructure, right? So yeah, let's get started. So most of us, because the audience size is varying from multiple, the majority of the employees, so from 2 to 300 people. So most of us has came across some of these questions in day to day, in certain point of our life, right? Like, are the tools that we are using still right ones, or is it actually saving us money or time that they were supposed to do, or or how much we are paying in total in the last year, and so on. Like, it may be like you're paying for the software that your team badly uses, or it can be also like you have multiple tools and they are not talking to each other, and you're kind of frustrated about it for the manual migration and those kind of things, right? So that feeling, that quiet uncertainty about whether the technology is helping you or you are just getting used to it and it is costing you, is more common than all of us can admit, right? So that's all this is all about this. And let me get started with, like, why these questions are so hard to answer at the first place, right? And the reason is, obviously, the tech industry sells us the features. They do not sell the software based on our outcomes, right? If you go in the market and search for any specific tools, you will find numerous number of options, and all claim to be the best, obviously. And every vendor speaks about their features and not about the outcomes about your business, right? And most of the system out there are not, no one inside the business own that whole system at all, because everything is nowadays a subscription based, and so on. So, and obviously some of you might can relate, like, in the beginning you are the one responsible for everything, so you become an accidental IT manager, like configuring all your tools and systems and making them communicate between each other and so on. So, and as the and the technical, and no need to mention, I think something little bit of that what you touch, Michelle, is about AI. Like, right after the AI has came, like, you can imagine, like, the industry is changing very fast, and most of the business are not able to absorb that speed, right? So going back to the title, more or less the industry is selling features but not business outcomes, and often a time the cost of that gap between features and outcome is bigger than most of the people realize, right? And let me show you what I meant by that. So let me show you this by some of the statistics in here. Like, more than a more than a 50%, 59% in, of the people who made tech decisions recently, they wish they could revert. That's real numbers in the industry. More, almost 35%, more than a third of what business are paying for the right now is sitting completely unused. I'm talking about the SaaS product spans in general. This number is specifically for the SaaS products, and more than almost 50% software installed in your employee's device are barely opened. That these are the industry specific numbers. So why does this keep happening? It is a common pattern. Why does this keeps happening? And let me show you something that explain a little bit. So it is about the way decisions are made, right? So there are typically three types of decisions that usually people make in the business. Uh, the first one is, I think most of us can relate all of three, but the first one is urgent tech, like something, this happens especially in the beginning of the business. Something you need something or something breaks in the business, and you go ahead and start searching for the solutions, and you sort out a couple of tools and you purchase one of them, right? And probably at that time you don't have a time to like actually evaluate whether it is right fit or not, and you just keep start using it, and that it lingers with you for a long time. The second one type of is the comfort tech, like some of your friends, colleagues, or someone whom you meet in the industry specific events recommended certain software, and they mentioned it is working very well for me, and you also go ahead and purchase that. Now, don't get me wrong, it might work for you for you as well, but every business is different, right? So again, it comes back to the evaluation. It might work for you, it might be the best fit for you, or it might not be as well. So that's the second type of the decision. And third type of decision is intentional tech decisions, which is actually most of the people should take. Means take their time, understand their business workflow, and and configure the system in a way that it adapts to your business, not the other way around, right? And and most of us, especially in the beginning of our journey, we fall under one of type one or two decisions, because we don't have a time or maturity enough at that time to make right decisions. And that's exactly, and that is normal as well at that stage. And that's what happens when nobody gives you a better framework. And that's what we are going to talk about today. Uh, so let's talk about what better framework actually looks like, right? Uh, so before I talk about the actual framework, let me explain a little bit what the rest of the slides are, how the rest of the slides are laid out. So we will talk about the three important pillars of the technology decisions. After that, we will I will present three evaluation criteria supporting each of those pillars, each of these pillars, and then I will share a few questions to ask to yourself before making a decision, so you can like have a more tangible decisions tailored to your workflow, your business, and after that, I will also share one tool that it can benefit you to share use while making decisions. Uh, and 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 the idea here is to before you make any decisions, you grade your decisions against these pillars and evaluation criteria and the question that I'm going to share you. So let's get started with the first pillar, which is the integration pillar. Obviously, it's a no-brainer, but it's worth mentioning. If your tool doesn't talk to each other, someone in your team is manually moving the data, and that is not a small inconvenience for them. It's actually a weekly extra hour spent of your productivity hours, of their productivity hours, not probably you, your employees, someone in the company, right? So that is important. And these pillars also includes a little bit of the yet automation, including AI or without AI. Doesn't matter. That's a second question, but it falls under these criteria. Second thing is the adoption. Uh, if you uh, we have seen companies like spend thousands of dollars in their softwares, but because their employees cannot adopt them, they go back to the spreadsheet or the shadow IT tools, uh, and 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 the subscription they just keep paying subscription, but there is not full potential use of that subscription. And let me explain a little bit of the shadow IT if you don't know. Shadow IT is the tool. Shadow IT tool is something that your employees start using it just to make their job done. Apart from the actual software stack that you have offered to them during the onboarding. So it can be a Canva for their marketing if you are in the marketing. It can be a spreadsheet, or it can be any other software that they start using it. So this kind of software they start using it. That's a common pattern if the software is not better fit for your business. And the third one is scalability. So as you start to hire more people, as you scale, you might spend more time migrating from one tool to another, or moving the data from one tool to another, or rebuilding the whole connection between those departments and those kind of things. So the challenge is those switching cost will usually is 3 to 4 times of the original software cost. So that's another pillar to look at. What will happen if we will scale from X person to Y number of employees, right? What will break and so on. So you have to analyze analyze that potential software that you are going to buy against those criteria. So now let's
Denise, I
apply.
totally agree with that last scalability because I got caught in that.
Yeah,
As a business owner, I was using a software. It was the free version until I added more than 15 team members to the software. And then the minute I had 15, below 15, everything was free. And of course, we've got all our information in it and we're sharing and we're using it. We add one more person and I have a $3,000 bill. So understanding the scalability is really important. I agree.
agree. Exactly. So it will help you to make your budget calculated before you scale, right? So because at that time, if you go with alternative, then like I mentioned, it will cost you for the migration, training, retraining your team, rebuilding those connections between those other tools, and that will cost you 3 to 5 more times than actual software cost, right? That's what I meant by that. So it makes sense, right? So going forward, so let's apply these pillars to 3 specific areas, which is the evaluation criteria, right? So the first evaluation criteria is the total cost of ownership, right? Now, most of the business owners or the decision makers see this, the top of the iceberg, which is what they are seeing on the invoices, or what is the initial cost of setting up that tool and so on. But they do not see what is underneath, which is almost 80 to 85% of the costing of their software, which includes like implementation and configuration time, staff training, onboarding of all those users, per user seat costing and the subscription, switching cost from one tool to another tool, like I mentioned in the previous slide, and unused license as well, right? One of the statistics that I presented earlier. So these are the often the hidden drain to the businesses. They do not see it on paper, but actually it is your business is actually gets paid, right? Uh, so that's it. And just to mention, like towards the end of the presentation, I will share the QR code to download this presentation. And in this presentation, I have prepared a tool towards the end of the slide, which you can use to calculate the total cost of ownership, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. So you can play around with that tool as per your own pace once you download that presentation. But coming back to the slide, the cost is not the only piece of it. There is another puzzle piece as well, which is the control. How much of the control you have on that software from your business point of view, right? Like and the control will include so many things. Let's go one by one. So before that, let's have you asked this question to yourself, like what happens? Let's say your primary software is ERP. If they decide to increase their pricing by 40% next year, then what options do you have? right? Small businesses like us is they don't have 40% is too much for them, right? They cannot afford this much big of the changes, and that's what this is a practical number. It is happening. Uh, so the question is, who holds the key of your business? Like, what will happen if they increase the pricing? What happens if they shut down tomorrow? Do you have access to that data, right? Where actually your data is living? Do you know that? Those kind of things, right? The third number is important to certain industries who are compliance, who falls under certain kind of compliance and regulations. And do you know whether the competitors has access to your data as well? And people think it's not what people the software companies do, but I have a real story based in Edmonton, a very interesting story about one of my client whose main business is around their leads, the CRM system, and their CRM system they were using, they were selling their data to the other competitors in the cement industry, which was a bummer if you think about it. The whole business is based on the leads, and they are selling it, right? So this is a real story. It's not a so you have to be mindful of those terms and conditions that you are agreeing behind those small fonts, right? And and it's not only about cost and having a ownership of the data or systems. It is also about like how one person is taking care of most of the operations, spreading that ownership of the responsibility across the business will also fall under the control as well. Not like in the beginning, it's fine that a couple of people know everything, but as you scale, that knowledge that are staying in their minds should be distributed across the company so that you have a better control on the company. If the person leaves, your business doesn't affect much. So it is also about creating a system that is choosing a tool that support this kind of system for your business, right? And the last one is where my favorite is whether the overall this whole system is a liability or the assets, right? Uh, is it going to be an asset on your balance sheet, or is it recurring liability from the subscription or contracts in the form of subscription and contracts, right? Because, for example, like let's say you have a let's say you have a ownership of everything, your data, your process, and everything. Then it is going to be an assets on a business sheet. The valuation of your business will be much higher compared to the if you are working based on of the subscriptions. uh, and also it will give you the control to decide the direction of the business that you're going along with the tool, rather than the vendor deciding the roadmap be on your behalf, right? So that's an important point to consider as well. uh, so now, and the third one is the third evaluation criteria is when you start to scale, which is about like what happens if will this still work when you are even when you increase your uh, number of employees, increase your size to almost to double the size of your employees. Will this work? And for that there are three different criterias, three different pressures that gets generated. uh, the first one is people pressure. So as you start hiring more people, you more hire means more per seat cost, more training sessions that you have to go through with them, and more permission management you have to do. So basically, more or less, it will create a friction in the business as you start hiring the people. That's the first pressure. And second pressure is the data pressures. As you grow, like in the beginning, you are two, three people company. You know everything in your mind. What is the sales look like and what is the operations look like and so on. But as you grow in the different departments, you will need more visibility in the form of reporting. Your business will make more transactions. Your business have more history and so on, right? And making a decisions based off your own data is much important. And that's why the data becomes very important, right? And the third one is the process pressure. In the beginning, one or two key people are responsible for everything, but as you grow, that approach, that the data and the process that are staying in their mind doesn't scale with the people. There has to be a way to implement a process so that there is a proper formal process for everything across the different departments, and make sure that everyone is following that process. That's the third pressure that comes when you start to scale. So the question is not just this will work today, more or less. The question should be also like, will this work after 24 months for your business? So that's the third evaluation criteria. So let's say you got everything right so far. Let me show you the picture what it will look like if you get everything right so far, what I have discussed. And this is what it will look like. That's our image. That's our version of it. On the left, there is a business who uses the tool, individual tools. And on the right, there is a business who thinks as a bigger system and the process, not as an individual tools, right? So let's say, so on individual, the business who buys individual tools, they usually react when something breaks. They do not see certain things coming. They buy tools based off the departments. They do not think it as a like overall infrastructure, and it's a whole business who and the data doesn't flow between those cross departments, which is beneficial for making certain decisions, right? Those business adapts the process, the way business softwares are designed, while other business usually uh, the software adapts to the business, not the other way around. That's how it should be, right? Uh, the software are meant for us. So we shouldn't get used to with the software, but the software should be configurable enough so that it adapts to our business operations and so on. And if you follow and paying per seat per month sounds like small until your teams doubles along with your software bills, right? With no improvement in what you can actually do on the left side, right? It's like you are just paying per seat per month for each employees, and the tours and versus in the right versus in the system approach, you own the whole infrastructure, so you can actually predict the cost. And usually in this approach, the the cost of the software stays flat. It doesn't go up as you start to hire more people. That usually it happens. And 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 this holistic approach of the systems outlives the software itself. And good system reduces the thinking required to run your business on day-to-day basis, because it is designed to run like your business. It completely aligns with that. So that's more or less uh, the difference between those two approaches. Before you make any next tech decisions, I want to give you like few questions, the questions that I was talking about earlier, that against which you should evaluate your next potential purchase, right? The first question is, what specific problem that you are trying to solve here? Now, it shouldn't be a vague statement like we need to automate more, or that our data is messy. It shouldn't be of that vague, because this feels like a this doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like a mood. It's not a problem. While on the right side, the statements of your problem should be super specific. I know in the beginning, like when you are very small, you do not have enough data to make these very precise statements. But at least the good thing is that you can directly talk to the person, responsible person, and he can give you the better idea what exactly problem we have, and and what we are trying to solve here. So the problems should be always very specific to your business, with data or without data, depending on the scale of your business, but it should be very specific. And I like this one, very important at the beginning. If you can't write a problem in one sentence with a measurable impact, you are not ready to buy anything yet. So better you go on the whiteboard and figure out what problem you are trying to solve. And once you understand that in the beginning, like once you understand that, then finding the solution will be super easy for you, because you have super clarity on your mind that okay, what exactly you need, right? And that brings to the second questions, which is whatever the vendor that you're talking to, or whatever the software that you're potentially thinking to buy, does this fit how we actually work? Because if you have defined your problem clearly, you will able to answer these questions very clearly, whether it fits or not, right? And 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 we all know that most of the softwares are designed for a generic use case so that they can sell to the masses. And you need to check whether that software or tool is configurable enough to adapt to your business. And that's the first our criteria, which is workflow fit, right? Can a typical employee use it without reading a manual after training? To be fair, like the the business should also have a training module as well, so that every new hire can learn how the business operates and adapts to it. Once the employee learns how the business operates in their XYZ department or job, it will be easy for them to adapt the system, because according to the shift that we saw in the previous slides, uh, new system should be designed to replicate exact business workflow. Hence, it will align very well with the employees' training, and that will also reduce the adoption. That will increase the adoption rate as well, because employees know how your business operates and the system operates exactly that way. So there is no much friction that employees face, because everything is aligned. And that brings us to the second point, which is a people fit. Like, you should think like what is the least savvy tech member in your team, right? And if they can't get a value from this tool, and then your adoption rate will suffer. I like this statement, like the powerful tool used by 40% of the staff is worse than a simpler tool used by 100% people in your team, right? So adoption is super important, because you have scaled at that level, and you are not only the one anymore to operate on your business. And the third one is the tech fit. uh, like count a manual export and import these tools, manual import and export your team creates across your company. Every one of them is kind of hidden cost and error prone process, right? So automating those with or without AI falls under this fit check, right? One important things fall under this check is also that the true ownership of the system, right? And most of the business believes that subscription is the only option nowadays, but that's not true. Coming from the software industry has become super mature nowadays, that there is a concept called open source. Some of you might know that. There are which is with the open source is basically a software built by people for the people for free. It's just that you will need a technical expertise to implement that, right? And that is that will give you the true ownership of your software. That will keep your flat and why I'm mentioning this, because I'm trying to tell you that it is possible. It is the subscription is not the only options, because that's how industry is currently designed, unfortunately. But business owners has options. It's just that they need a right guidance so that they can make a conscious decision and keep their infrastructure under their control, and not only from the cost wise, but also from the data and process and everything, right? So that kind of check will also fall under this stack field. And the last question, one more question, the next question that you should be asking is, what does this success looks like in XYZ days, 90 days, whatever, depending on the which kind of software you're trying to replace. How does the success looks like? For example, CRM might take a little bit less time compared to the ERP and so on, right? So you have to define precisely how the success will look like. What will be the adoption rate? What will be the efficiency gain? What will be the revenue impact, and how much we are gonna reduce the error after the implementation of this software. And before you sign anything, write this down, not in your mind, but on the paper. How does the success look like? Most business don't think this way, but you can't completely define how software looks like without the help of the vendor, because the vendor knows their software very well, right? So you should be asking hard questions to the vendors. This is my criteria. This is what I want to achieve. How we will able to achieve with your software? Show me the way before I make a purchase, right? Ask those hard questions, like how, or figure out the way how I will achieve that before jumping in and then buying that software. If you can't define the success before you buy, you won't be able to recognize the failure. And that's how the subscription quietly renews for years, regardless of their uselessness. What I meant by that is, like, as I mentioned, one of the state in the previous slide, that most of the 35% of the software are unused. Like, let's say you bought something today, and if you haven't defined the success of your success criteria, then you do not know how much impact it is bringing on table, that particular software. Then you will just keep renewing the software, thinking that it might break our business. You do not have a tangible, any quantified way to calculate how much important that software is for you, right? That's another reason why defining the success criteria is super important for the business. And the one more question is this, super important, that most of the business even can't think of is, let's say you got everything right in the previous slides, right? Let's say you got everything, you did all your research and everything, but there still you still have to be prepared with your exit strategy with this software, right? On the left, I have prepared, like, I'm not being a pessimist here. I'm being, but it's just a good business thinking. Like, you do it with your contracts, you do it with your suppliers in your business, you do it with new hires. So why you are not doing with the software, right? You should be prepared for the exit strategy with the software as well, right? And towards the left, I have like 2x2 grid, where you can, like, evaluate your position on, like, how easy it will be for you to revert that decision versus the cost, how much it will cost you on reversing that decision and so on. Based on your situation, you can either negotiate with the vendor and make decisions accordingly, right? And towards the right, I have prepared like kind of tiny checklist, like, can we export the data if we exit, if we revert back? Is there any option for the month-to-month subscription and so on, right? Are we training the employees on the platform or the process? Like, who owns the system and data? The most important question here, in my opinion, I guess, because that will, if you own everything, that will dictate the future of your business, right? Because you own everything, you are not renting out on just a subscription based. And so that's more or less the framework is all about, I guess. this is the last slide that I have right now. This is more or less the framework that I have, and I hope you can. I hope you have got some insightful, valuable insight value out of it. But like I mentioned earlier, like this presentation is available for downloads. Feel free to go ahead, and I have in the rest of these slides, like here, I have prepared this tool. You can simply download this presentation and then at your own pace use that tool next time you make any technical decisions. And I have also prepared a slide for the references that I have used throughout the slide, so you can verify everything and so on. But yeah, if you have any questions, sorry, I didn't check the chat yet.
That
Okay,
is
perfect.
okay. Anish, first of all, fantastic presentation because, there are so many things to think about when we're looking at technology stacks in our businesses. And I think, we get so caught up as business owners in running the day to day and serving the customers and looking after our employees, we don't actually identify what our stack is, even for technology, from the apps we have on our phone to our accounting softwares to our POS to our CRMs, all the acronyms, right? And then you throw a
Yeah.
dabble of AI in there and some maybe some team and task management software and quite often we go to conferences and see new things on TikTok or what have you to say, oh, this looks bright and shiny, I might buy that. And then it doesn't really work with the stack. And the stack might already be serving you, but you're not using it to its full extent. And that creates problems in the processes. So I love the fact that identify the workflows first, identify what you have first, and make the software work for you, not you adapt your business to the software, which is
Exactly.
what I think a lot of us do. So I'm going to open it up to the floor. If you have questions, I know we're tight for time, but if you have questions, and let's hear from you. Oh, you're muted still.
Oh my God, you think after all this time.
That is okay. I do it all the time.
That was fabulous. Thank you. My question is, I do have a few, but where, if I want to buy a software program, I have a couple actually that I'm curious about right now. Who can I reach out to? I mean, I guess I've downloaded the presentation, so I may have all the resources there, but can I reach out to an organization to run a couple ideas by them, or what's the best bet moving forward?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a great question. I think Anish is the guy to call. You've got a new friend.
yeah. Yeah, we can help you out as well. And but one thing that you should keep in mind that the whoever you talk to, they should be a platform agnostic consultant, because I know that in the ERP industry they are incentivized to go with their own particular software. They
Right.
have very biased opinion on certain softwares, right? So whoever you talk to, identify that they are objective and agnostic of their any tools or company that will bring more value than others, I believe. But that's a tip. But yeah, if you need any help, I would love to hear your problems as well. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Should I just email you then?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the presentation, I have also my information on it, so you can reach out to me. That's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you both so much.
No worries. My pleasure.
Wonderful. And we're getting some great feedback from Alistair and the rest of the attendees saying great presentation, Anish, which, there are just things that we know we need to think about, but we don't make time to think about. So
Yes.
attending these Biz Bites are just a great spot to pause and stop and think about working on our business versus getting into the drudgery of working in our business as well.
Exactly.
Any other questions before we wrap up for today? No? Okay, that's great. So if you're interested in more information about how you can make good technology decisions, absolutely, I recommend reach out to Anish, have a conversation, get on the phone. He is one of your new business buddies, courtesy of RBSM. And so, as I said before, we have a full library of these great presentations. Um, and I will share the link to that library with you. You can access experts like Anish and more on multiple different business topics at no cost to you. I always say with a good four-letter F word, we're free. So, and we have another episode. We do a BizBite every month. So we have another episode coming up towards the end of May. And we are talking to a marketing expert who wants to tell us what is working and what is not in the digital world in 2026. Because we all know, just like AI changes and Google changes, I think Meta changes faster than anything else I've ever seen. One minute there's a button here that works, and the next day it's gone. So and merging different social media tracks, and should you still have a website, or should you be doing the TikTok dance for your business? We don't know, but we're going to find out next month when Tessa from Next Generation Marketing joins us. So in the email with the recording of this session will be a link to sign up for that one as well. All our BizBites are live, but I understand we have busy lives, and so that's why we offer the recording as well. So with that said, thank you everybody for attending. We so appreciate it. And if you know another business owner who would like to learn more, please let them know. There's BizBites available. The Regional Business Service Network is no cost to them to avail themselves to complimentary consulting, strategic planning, growth strategies, scale up strategies, and how to get on with the new tech that's coming at us. So my information will be in your email as well if you want to have a complimentary conversation with me as well. So thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much, Anish, for your wonderful wisdom, and we will be in touch with more great things coming your way soon.
Awesome. Thank you very much for RBS and for providing this platform.